As someone who's had a lot of self-doubt and hard time believing that I could achieve certain things, I didn't really think $10,000 a month was possible. But last summer, I was able to hit this number. And today, I just want to give you a step-by-step plan on how I'm going to do that again this summer and how you could copy me. If you're someone that's looking to grow their income or just add a side hustle or some other way to make money, if things like that interest you, be sure to like and subscribe. So the way I did this was by mowing grass, and I'm not exaggerating. I do have a lawn care business, and I don't have employees or anything, so I'm self-employed. I'm out doing the work myself, and I was able to surpass the 10K mark. And just to preface a little bit, I'm not full-time in this yet, so I did have a part-time job where I made money, and that contributed towards the 10K. But either way, I had a couple months where I was over $7,000 a month just doing lawn care. And most of this was simply cutting grass, just having recurring customers where you go either once a week or once every 2 weeks to mow their lawn, and then, weed whack the edges and blow the clippings off the sidewalk after. And that makes up a big majority of the income. And then certain customers that you have, you could upsell them and, either put mulch down for them or trim their bushes. Just simple services like that doesn't cost a ton to get started are ways that I've been able to make a pretty good amount of money and, be able to keep quite a bit of it because there's not much overhead, you're not paying employees, those kinds of things. So to kind of have the roadmap to 10K a month doing lawn care, it really is just a numbers game. So I'm at the point right now where we're in the spring rush, or at least that's coming up. So I'm kind of promoting my business by putting business cards on people's doormats in the areas that I service. This has probably gotten me most of my business. It's been this and word of mouth. I haven't really gotten much customers at all through, the internet or Facebook. And this will be my fourth full season doing this. So I do have a pretty good start. I've been able to get I've been able to get just about all of my customers back from last year, which is just something you can do through having, good service, showing up on time, and doing a good job. And I also want to say I do this with a push mower. I still have a push mower. It is bigger. It's a 30-inch width push mower. Most of them are going to be about 20 or 22 inches. So that extra 8 inches really saves me time. And the area that I service does have quite a bit of small yards. So this does actually make a lot of sense for me. And it's definitely a lot cheaper to get started and to maintain this kind of equipment as opposed to like a giant zero-turn mower. But yeah, anyway, I'm sort of getting all over the place here. Let's just get into the math of this and the roadmap to 10K a month. So on average in my area, a yard will cost about $45 to $55. So we could say 50 for the average. And mine is probably around at the upper 40s to 50 because I have some yards that are, $60, $65. I have some yards that are $35 to $40. I would like to get it up to at least 40 as a minimum. But roughly a yard that I do comes to upper 40s, close to $50. So if you do decide to go this route and you put business cards out and things like that, if you're doing yards that are the size of mine, I want to say I do yards that are maybe a quarter to a third of an acre, maybe close to a half an acre, maybe. That sounds like a little big, honestly. I would say like a third of an acre. And I'm charging around $45 to $50. So hopefully that can give you kind of a rough estimate. I would definitely look into your area because if you're out in California or something, it's going to be a lot more than that, I'm sure. But yeah, definitely do the research to find out the average cut in your area. So now how long it takes me, I would say the average yard I do takes me about 35 minutes. I want to say it's a little over a half hour. So I don't quite get 2 done an hour. So if my average price is in the upper 40s and I'm getting like 1.8 yards done per hour, you're looking at about $90 per hour. Obviously, this is before taxes and before expenses and those kinds of things. But that's definitely a great number, and the profit margin's pretty good. The $20 an hour that I'm making at the part-time job is definitely not even close. So realistically, if I want to work a 7 to 8 hour day out doing lawns, and I'm getting a little under 2 done per hour, you can realistically look at maybe getting 12 yards done per day if you're efficient. You might want to say 10 or 11, especially if you're going to start with like a 21-inch mower. 10 might be a good number, but that might even take like the full 8 hours. And I say 6 to 7 because things go wrong. When you're done for the day, you got to clean the equipment. You have to log what yards you did, like on a software and those kinds of things. So I like to be out cutting grass for that long. There's times where it becomes longer than that throughout the summer, but generally that's where I'm at. But yeah, so then if you're able to build up the amount of clients that you have to where you're able to do 12 yards a day, and let's say you do that Monday to Thursday, just to give yourself a rain day in there, and then I'll get into the math on like the bushes and things on possibly doing that on like a Friday. But if you were to do 12 yards a day for those 4 days a week, and we'll just say that you're doing it at that 45 to 50 range. We'll go right in the middle and say 47.50. You would be looking at $570 a day. And then if you did that for those 4 days a week, you're looking at $2,280 a week. And then if we take the 4 weeks that are in a month, you're looking at $9,120 per month just mowing grass 4 days a week. So that leaves us with $880 left to get to 10K per month. So if we just say 900, you're looking at an additional $225 per week. So if you have those 12 customers a day for 4 days a week, that's 48 customers. So of those 48 customers that you have per week, and some might be bi-weekly, so you might even have like 60 to 70 accounts, you would just have to sell one $225 job, like a bush trimming. That's probably an average bush trimming job for me. That would just take a couple hours. Or even 2 or 3 $100 jobs. If you're able to do that additionally on, say, a Friday morning and knock those out by lunchtime, you would be looking at 10K a month. And I know that saying all that, I'm making it sound very easy. It's a lot of hard work. You got to put yourself out there. Like, I'm spending my weekends right now putting out door hangers, like I said, to try to get more business, to get to that number of 10K a month. And then being self-employed, you're in charge of every aspect of the business. It's doing the work on the field, logging everything on the software, paying your taxes on time, making sure all of your equipment is running, just to name a few things. And not to mention that it can get really hot out here sometimes. But being that I'm in my mid-20s right now, and I played sports growing up and things, I'm in decent shape for my age, I'm able to handle this, and I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this format for, but I know that it's definitely helping me get ahead and, get experience. Even having the fact that I'm a business owner on my resume, I'm sure is really helpful if I decide to get into a job hunt. I'm also growing it to a point where I can transition into like starting to have employees for certain things. So it really opens up a lot of opportunities, and even while you're at this stage, you could still make some pretty good money. So, if you guys have a couple $100s saved up and you can afford to get, say, a 21-inch mower, a small weed whacker, and then even just a little blower, you might be looking at about $700 if you want to buy these things new. You could probably find them on Facebook Marketplace for a lot cheaper. Maybe get the 3 as a set for someone selling them for like $300, maybe $400. But yeah, not a whole lot to get started compared to a lot of other businesses out there. And that's not to mention that your parents or another family member might even have some of this equipment already that you could use to get started. And then in terms of a vehicle, I know people that can run this out of just a regular car. You're going to have the small equipment to start up, obviously. Another one is a minivan where you could put the seats down and then have the stuff in the trunk. There's definitely ways to transport the equipment, and look into what option might be best for you. And even if it's not going to be a 10K month, this could definitely be such a good side hustle. If, say, you want to pick up 5 customers and then do it on a Saturday morning, it could take you like 2 to 3 hours, and maybe you'll make an extra $250 a weekend, maybe an extra $1,000 a month if you do the math there. And then just a quick tip or two, I would say some of the best ways to increase your profit margin and keep as much of this, 10K, 1K, whatever it is, keep as much of it as possible, is by maintaining your equipment, really taking good care of it and letting it last as long as possible. I would say learning how to fix your equipment when it's broken as much as possible too. Don't take it to a mechanic or anything like that unless it's absolutely needed. And then another one is something that I could definitely talk about in future videos about this topic, but route density, which is pretty much if you have one house that's a block away from another house, you're going to do those two, one back to back. So this way you're not spending as much time driving, you're not going to be using as much gas in your vehicle, you're not going to be putting as many miles on it, and things like that. So just having a really efficient route is definitely a good way to keep your profit margin higher. So yeah, between the low startup costs and the ability to get a pretty high profit margin if you're efficient, this is definitely such a good side hustle, and it could be a good way to go out, get some exercise, and definitely gain some skills. Like you're going to be talking to customers, you're going to learn some aspects of just having a business, and if that's something that you want to do long term in the future, I think this could be a great way to get started and just learn a good amount of skills and make some money at it as well. And yeah, I know lawn care is probably a pretty common side hustle. I'm curious to know if any of you guys that are watching this have ever done anything in lawn care or landscaping. Comment down below if you have. And also let me know what you like or maybe what you don't like about it. And let other people see that as well. But yeah, guys, this is something that I feel is a realistic roadmap to 10K a month. And if you want to do it as a side hustle, maybe it could complement your full-time job and the two combined can get you to 10K. But yeah, guys, that's just about all I got for today. If you made it this far into the video, I really appreciate you, and I really hope that you crush it this year, whether it's lawn care or another side hustle, just finding a way to get that income up. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. If you found it valuable, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.